Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson unveiled his final Brexit plan just moments ago. While speaking to his Conservative Party members in Manchester, the Prime Minister pledged no checks at or near the border in Northern Ireland. Boris Johnson said he will present Brussels with what he believed were constructive and reasonable proposals which provide a compromise for both the sides. He then went on to make a number of promises related to the Irish border issue. Listen in.
We are coming out of the EU on October the 31st, come what may. Conference. Let's get Brexit done. We can, we must, and we will, even though things have not been made easier by the surrender bill. We will work for a deal with our EU friends. But whatever happens, we must come out by the end of October.
WION's London Bureau Chief Mandy Clark now joins us live on this broadcast. Mandy, that was a rather engaging address by Boris Johnson, largely applauded by his Conservative Party colleagues. But do you think it will cut ice with Brussels?
That is hard to say. It was an incredible platform because normally at the Conservative Party conference we hear all their kind of major platforms. There was only one, and that was Brexit. So it's quite clear that he is stating his premiership on getting Brexit done. That's the slogan. However, there was an early article that was released in the Telegraph, which is kind of the Tory party's newspaper of choice, outlining some of the proposals, and Brussels had already reacted, saying that they didn't find it a proper platform to negotiate on, that it wasn't giving too much. But, however, there is going to be a conversation between Boris Johnson and Brussels later on this afternoon, so maybe there is showing signs that they are willing to negotiate. At the border checks is another major issue. It's very difficult to see how he's not going to break the law, get Brexit done, not have border checks, but not be in that common market. And the details, if you notice, on exactly how this final deal they proposed wasn't in the speech. So we're still no closer to knowing exactly what's on offer.
That's right. We still don't know what exactly is on offer, but there is a lot of talk about, hospitals and support for the NHS. Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the Tories in general are making a pitch for an elections if that is the case.
Oh, I think there is no doubt this is largely an election platform. The way that they're clearly staking out the party is that it will be the party that delivers Brexit, but also the NHS, which in British history was a Labour. The opposition party created the NHS. He's arguing that, in fact, it's the Conservative Party that is the true party of the NHS and has committed millions into improving hospital services since the NHS has, for many years, suffered major cuts. He's also talking about improving railways. These are more domestic issues, but it certainly is that election platform, trying to reach out outside of London into the hinterlands where the majority of people did vote Brexit, and he's hoping the people who voted Brexit will now vote Conservative.
Right. At this stage, I want to ask you a little bit of a clarification, Mandy. So he has a new deal. Boris Johnson has a new deal, which he will give to Brussels. We don't know what's in the deal. We don't know if Brussels will say yes to the deal or not. And if Brussels says no to the deal, then Boris Johnson's answer is that we will head out of the European Union on the 31st of October, come what may. But according to the proceedings of the Parliament, is he supposed to get a word in back from the House of Commons before he chooses to lead England into a no-deal Brexit?
Well, this is the big question. He's saying they'll leave come what may. Of course, there is that then Act that happened just last week where they forced it through Parliament to ensure that he can't legally do that. So it's unclear how he's going to legally leave by October 31st. With or without a deal. If there is no deal, he would be technically breaking the law. That would require the Queen to have him moved and have a caretaker prime minister, because the prime minister is not legally allowed to break the law unless they've found a loophole. So there's so many questions that's coming out. How on earth he's planning to deliver it when he's technically his hands are tied and he cannot leave the EU without a deal, according to that law. So it is a very large question mark.
It is a very large question mark, and that means that there is more and more chaos leading up to that October 31st deadline. But all the action today is happening in Manchester, because that's where Prime Minister Boris Johnson is. Meanwhile, I'm sure a lot could be cooking in London, especially from the opposition Labour side, from Corbyn's side.
Yes, now the Labour Party conference was the week prior, and of course, in Boris's speech, he made reference to it, where Jeremy Corbyn had made a number of promises on nationalising some of the services. Of course, that runs against Tory party conference or even their manifesto. So there was a lot of jibes at Jeremy Corbyn in his speech. What we can expect that opposition is doing now in London is trying to look at that law, find out if there's any loopholes that would allow Boris Johnson to essentially wriggle out of that law that's stopping the no deal, and then essentially close those loopholes to make sure that he is held to account and he listens to the will of Parliament.
Our London Bureau Chief, Mandy Clark, joining us with that live report straight from London. Mandy, we will be keeping our eyes on the situation, and we will be coming back to you through the day for the latest updates.